Hey everyone, Aida Jacobs here, and today I am going to be doing the Your Story tag. I originally saw this tag on Living Within Fiction's channel and thought it would be fun, so I'm going to give it a try. Alright, here we go. It promises to be kind of long, so I'll try not to ramble too much. Okay, question number 1. Tell us about your story. Well, and again I'm reading my notes, trying to keep myself centered. The story of the 4 core books in the series centers around Marin Draconia, who is the last remaining heir to the throne of Primordia, and basically centers around her fight to achieve her destiny as a dragon guardian and take back her kingdom from the cruel and sadistic necromancer, Naga, Queen of the Dark Elves. A dragon guardian is a fabled sorcerer who can not only communicate and control dragons, but also wield the powers of the 4 elemental dragons who rule over the other dragons of Primordia. So, it's kind of a big deal. The books that I have planned to follow after book 4, which is what I'm currently working on, and it's called Dragon Guardian Earth. Those books will be sequels and prequels that will focus on secondary characters they'll focus on characters from the series that, while secondary or only mentioned in passing during the course of the 4 core books, they are no less important or deserving of their moment in the spotlight. For example, I will eventually have a book that centers around Duncan's parents. And if you've read my books, you'll know who Duncan is, and you'll realize why they're deserving of their own little book, because Duncan himself is a very interesting character, and my readers deserve to know where he came from. Anyway, question number 2. Is this part of Camp NaNoWriMo, or personal? Personal. Number 3. Tell us about your characters. There's way too many characters in this series, so in order to avoid my droning on for too long and boring you to tears, I'm just going to focus upon the inner circle. The characters that are pretty much there from the beginning and have a lot of the attention focused upon them. And if you pay attention, you'll notice that they have a very D&D dynamic to them. Okay. At the top of the list, of course, is Marin. She's the central protagonist of the story. She is a half-elf and a dragon guardian, and the last remaining heir to the high throne of Primordia. While clumsy, impatient, and tomboyish, and in possession of a very short and quick temper, she is nevertheless loyal to a fault and would not hesitate before taking the proverbial bullet for somebody that she cares about. Yeah, she will, even though they don't exist in my world, she would jump on a grenade if it meant saving one of her friends or loved ones. So yeah, somebody that you really want to have in your corner. She can be loud and brash, but those are just her little quirks. What else did I put down? Oh yeah, she's trained in both magic as well as swordplay. So as a result, she absolutely abhors dresses, and she flat out refuses to wear them because they hinder in her movement. You can't really be a warrior princess if you're tripping over petticoats. Next on the list is Duncan. He is the first friend that Marin ever made after her harrowing escape in the beginning of Book 1, Dragon Guardian Fire. He is half wood elf, half dark elf. And because of his mixed heritage, he is constantly met with distrust and even disdain from both sides. Because, you know, the dark elves hate him because he's not a pure blood. The wood elves, or the surface elves, however you want to describe them, they hate him and distrust him because he's half dark elf. You know, they're not exactly known for being nice. Anyway, his circle of friends is very small, and he only really feels at home when he's with them, because they're the only ones that accept him for who he is and can see past his exterior. He is loyal to a fault, and he readily joins Marin on her quest and becomes a surrogate brother to her. He is also a very highly skilled rogue. Now, if you want somebody stealthy, he's your guy. If you want somebody to pick locks and assassinate somebody quietly or from a distance with a crossbow, he's your guy. He is also deeply in love with Kira, and he is the resident joker / smartass of the group. Next on the list is Kira. She is one of Marin's closest friends. She and Duncan are right up there with her. The three of them are thick as thieves, basically. She becomes a surrogate sister to Marin. She is a wood elf, and she provides a constant voice of calming reason for Marin. And as you can imagine from my description of Marin, she has to use that special skill a lot. She is the epitome of grace and femininity, and she is infinitely patient. And she is forever trying to make Marin a bit more girly, trying to introduce to her the joys of doing her hair nicely and dressing a bit more like a girl instead of like a boy. And it is a losing battle. But Kira takes it in stride. She doesn't stop trying, but she never gets mad when her plans blow up in her face. She is very well versed in healing magic, and she is also a wonderful cook. So she helps to keep the party alive and well fed. She did not hesitate even a moment before joining Marin's cause. She is also deeply in love with Duncan, and she doesn't care about his lineage and his heritage. To her, he's just Duncan, and she will fight anybody who gives him a dirty look. Yeah. She's the resident Hufflepuff of the group. Sweet, loyal, fair, patient, kind, but if you mess with somebody that she cares about, badger. Let's see. And there's Valius. He is charged with protecting Marin with his life on this epic quest of hers. He is a celestial knight, which in my world is the equivalent of a paladin, the elven equivalent of a paladin. As a celestial knight, he is imbued with the powers of the goddess Celestes, which is the head of the elven pantheon in my world. As such, as a paladin, he doubles as both a warrior and a healer for the party. And as with Kira, he is often called upon to be a voice of reason for Marin, albeit a long-suffering one. That poor elf has heaved so many martyred sighs. It's like, pretty much from the moment he and Marin were pushed together. Let's see, there's Taliesin. He is Marin's beloved. He is a half elven ranger, and he's a widower. Being a widower, he lives in a constant state of worry that Marin will be taken from him at any moment. Although in his defense, his worry is warranted considering how often Marin has nearly died during the course of her dangerous journey. Seriously, she's the half-elven equivalent of Buffy. Just like, okay, how many times does that make now? He is a very patient and loving man, and he is ever supportive and accepting of Marin and her unorthodox ways. Yeah. He's said it multiple times since Book 2, which is Dragon Guardian Water. Paraphrasing here. I've married a self-saving princess. I'm well aware that this is who she is, and she's not going to change. I still love her for it. She's still beautiful and perfect to me. Yeah. That's essentially what he thinks about her. Next on the docket is Nicodemus. He is Marin's mentor, and he becomes a secondary father figure to her. He is a wise and powerful wizard. He's mortal, by the way. He's human. And he takes Marin under his wing and into his home in order to train her so she can be prepared for the epicness of her quest. And lastly, but certainly not least, is Noctum. He is Marin's familiar, as well as her constant companion and protector. He is rarely far from her side. And he is much, much more than the simple black cat that he appears to be. And he and Marin are able to communicate telepathically. And there you have it. You've got a battle wizard, a rogue, a ranger, a cleric, a paladin, and a trusted animal companion. It's the perfect D&D party. Question number 4. Your favorite friendship? I honestly can't decide. This was actually the hardest question that I was faced with during this thing. And I honestly can't decide which friendship is my favorite because there are so many friendships that form and grow during the course of the story that takes place in the series, and they are each awesome in their own way because of the different dynamics that they have. So, yeah, sorry. I have no specific favorite because they're all cool. Number 5, what is your favorite romance? While all the romances are beautiful and sweet in their own ways because of just how healthy and devoted each relationship is, if I had to pick a favorite, it would have to be Marin and Taliesin. Because, and those of you who have read the books will know what I'm talking about, as demonstrated in Dragon Guardian Water, not even a magical whammy could keep the two of them apart. You know, they are soulmates and they will always find each other. Now, they remind me of Wesley and Buttercup from The Princess Bride. And as Wesley famously says, this is true love. Do you think it happens every day? What is the saddest scene in your story? There are too many to mention, and all of them involve character deaths and spoilers, so I can't go into details. But after writing each of them, I can say that I poured myself a rather healthy glass of wine as I just kind of quietly sobbed in the corner, just like because I personally I realize that character deaths are necessary, and even so, I still agonize over having to do them. Because, I realize that they're necessary. You can't go through an epic ordeal such as the one that Marin is going through and you can't come out unscathed. So, while I realize that deaths are necessary, that doesn't mean I have to like them. My favorite scene. At first I thought it was going to be a scene from book 1 where Marin concocts a chameleon potion and accidentally changes herself into a boy. I was originally going to go with that because it was funny. But as I started talking during this video, I decided that my favorite scene would be from book 3, and it's slightly morbid, but it's still exceedingly funny because it's Marin, Duncan, Kira, and Valius essentially keeping a tally of how many times Marin has almost died since the beginning of book 1 to that very point. And as they're keeping this tally, the rest of the party that happens to be traveling with them on this particular leg of the journey, they're just staring at them like how can you joke about something like this? How is this funny to you? And yeah, that's not it.
Inquisitor, you have a message.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, Cullen. That was my email, by the way. No. I can't find it. And I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to bore you guys with just dead air. Anyway, it was just the fact that the 4 of them were like, oh yeah, it was 4 times. No, you're forgetting about this time when this happened. Wait, no, that was Taliesin, that wasn't me. Oh, you're right. And no, you're thinking of this. And all the while they're going on keeping this tally, and Valius, by the way, is just getting increasingly more agitated because his sole purpose for this quest is to keep Marin safe, and he's just like, you don't make my job easy. And she's just like, what? Them's the breaks. JK lol. I was only a little bit dead. Not all the way. It's fine. Anyway, I actually did a fair amount of chuckling and giggling. Mostly giggling while I was writing that scene, so yeah. I think that would have to be my favorite scene so far. Okay, question number 8. What is your opening scene? The very first scene in book 1 is Marin running for her life after her mother, father, and sister have come under attack by Naga's forces. At this point of the story, she has yet to learn of her destiny or her birthright because it had been kept a secret from her. Basically, her family knew just how tough a road she would have to walk the moment she became aware of her destiny. So they were trying to give her some sense of freedom for as long as possible. A kind of a let's let her be a kid. Let's let her be a teenager. She's gonna have enough troubles when her powers manifest. Just let her be for the time being. And while their reasoning did make sense, it could have, if they had decided to go another way, so many things could have been prevented. And I realize that as the author, it was just like, what do you mean if they went a different way? But things to be explored for when they get their own prequel book. Anyway, all she knows at this point in the story is that her father ordered her to make her way to the Ever Kingdom of Silvestri, which is, for lack of a better word, it's the capital of the Elven Kingdom. Now, the elves live in the forests that are scattered around Primordia, but they do have a central location for the royal family, and that's Silvestri. He orders her to make her way to Silvestri, the Ever Kingdom, when he saw a legion of dark elves descending upon their home, and he basically just threw her out and locked the door so she couldn't come back inside. He was just like, run. And so she ran. He didn't mean that she did it right at the very beginning, though. She tried to get back into the house to try to help her family, but her father was determined that she would be the one to survive because she needed to. It's her destiny to restore peace to the land. She was the one who needed to survive, so he gave her the boot. As hard as it was for him to do. And question number 9. How did this story come about? The very first draft of Dragon Guardian Fire is completely unrecognizable from the version that is out in the world today. That very first draft, entitled Celtic Princess, was my class project for the creative writing class I took during my senior year of high school. And over the course of the 14 years that followed between the original completion of that draft and the actual publication date, it underwent so many tweaks and rewrites in the aftermath of being rejected by publishing houses. So every time I got a rejection letter, I would regroup and rework the story, adding characters, removing characters, changing events within the plot, until the end result was the version that ended up being published. So essentially, the current version of the overall story came about as a direct result of rejection. Lots and lots of rejection. Let's see. Question number 10. What is the theme of your story? Overcoming adversity. A lot of adversity. Marin's life is far from a walk down a flowery path. Question number 11. What isn't working in your story? I can't think of anything right now. So far, everything is working just fine, but we'll see what happens as I progress further in book 4. Yeah. Any writer will know that it's subject to change. Question number 12. What is one thing you love about your story? I love that people of different races and creeds come together and unite under one banner in order to work together and fight back against an oppressive despot. Elf, human, noble, or peasant, it matters not which walk of life they're from. They're all down, spilling blood in the same mud together because they realize what truly matters, preserving their homeland. And question number 13, do you plan to publish? Books 1 and 3 have been published and are available on Amazon, Kindle, and barnesandnoble.com. Book 4 will be published most likely sometime in 2018, but don't quote me. We all know how temperamental muses can be. And again, Book 1, Dragon Guardian Fire. This is a first edition. Book 2, Dragon Guardian Water. Book 3, Dragon Guardian Air. And soon to be joining them, I shouldn't say soon. I probably just jinxed myself. Would be Dragon Guardian Earth. And that's it for now. Thank you for joining me thank you for joining me and listening to me as I rambled. I hope it wasn't too bad this time. And I will see you on the flip side. Primordia forever!